With The Rock wanting to leave WWE with only $12 to his name at one point and a cancelled wrestling event apparently refusing refunds, this is Wrestling Up. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for June 29th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Up and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. While Alexa Bliss getting called up to the main roster was great for her career, it took its toll on the tag team she had been managing on NXT, Blake and Murphy. Former WWE star Wesley Blake would talk to Wrestling Inc. about this, saying, "I guess it's just what creative wanted. Once we dropped the NXT tag titles, they wanted to split Alexa away from us, so she could have her singles run. We were very happy for her because we knew she was going to be a star, and so we were still tagging but not getting any traction. We weren't having any storylines on NXT, and then they slowly started putting us in singles matches. At one point we were at odds and unsure if we're still a team or not, and then eventually they said Samoa Joe was going to come lay us out during a match. At the time, Buddy and I had pitched the idea of wrestling each other in a best of 3 or best of 5 series, but they didn't want that, so I just started doing my beautiful Blake character and he moved on to 205 Live. Blake confirmed that he and Murphy still keep contact, as he stated he would be open to teaming with him in the future. Despite not competing in the ring since February of last year, Samoa Joe has made his return to NXT and talked with Ryan Satin about those he wants to face. Karrion Kross and Pete Dunne are at the top of that list. A guy like Walter, people have been asking for it. I'm not blind. It's for good reason. The guy's a powerhouse and people want to see some furniture moving. These are dream matches for many fans, as we'll have to wait and see when this takes place. When speaking to Sports Illustrated Media, AEW commentator Jim Ross touched on Vince McMahon's decision to move NXT to Tuesday nights, effectively ending the Wednesday night war with AEW. For the growth of the NXT brand and their ongoing relationship with NBCU, logically speaking, and taking personalities and emotions out of it, it was the best thing for them to do. It was the best thing for their relationship in building a bigger audience. Fans don't have to make a choice. I'm sure it made them mad to read every week. We didn't beat them every week, but more weeks than not, we were the #1 watched wrestling show on Wednesday nights. I know he didn't take that in a good way. He's very competitive, and he's used to being the bull in the woods, doing whatever he wants to do and winning. On Wednesday nights against us, they weren't winning on a regular basis. I'm sure that bothered him to some degree. At the end of the day, it was the right decision to make for everyone involved. Former NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa had once talked about not being interested in a main roster call-up in WWE, yet he said to PW Insider that he isn't ruling this move out completely. It's a tough one for me to answer because that's not how I work, as far as goals go. When I was a kid, I wanted I want to be on WrestleMania and stuff. For sure those were the goals, because I was signed at 2021 and released, and then did a bunch of independents and toured around the world, and just found myself and grew as a performer. It's just all these different experiences I had, and it just became more about the journey than anything, and it became more about just becoming a better performer. So when Johnny and I came to NXT and our first thing was doing the Dusty Classic, for me it was like, oh cool, here's an opportunity to get in the ring with new different people, fresh people, get in front of different audiences and grow as a performer. The Raw brand is fantastic, great roster, lots of talented men and women. Same thing with SmackDown, same thing with NXT. I love to get in there with everybody. It's just more about me doing things that help my own legacy at the end of it. That helped me as a performer grow and get better. There's no door that's closed, but at the same time there's no weird carrot that's dangling in front of me where I'm like, oh, that's what I got to do. It's just going with the flow of it all and making the most of every opportunity that's presented to me, essentially. Last night, Raw opened with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville saying Randy Orton was not on the show as Riddle entered the frame with a letter allegedly from Randy, as it read, "Page 1 Aloha, I the Viper Randy Orton of sound body and mind hereby declare that my best friend Riddle therefore take my place in tonight's last chance triple threat match. Page 2, Riddle is the coolest, most bodacious bro I could ask for, and I would be honored if he were to fight on my behalf. Aloha, the legend killer," with a smiley face and a snake. Many fans had a fun time with this segment, as PW Insider would note. There was no clear indication backstage last night as to why Randy Orton was not on Raw. Sami Zayn recently retweeted a clip of an old match featuring him and Kota Ibushi fighting on kayaks, which a fan responded to, writing, "This is a big reason why it's embarrassing to be a fan of pro wrestling. I don't care what you call yourself, you have always been crap. Please go away and take Kevin Owens with you." This led to KO reacting, "You and Sami look like you could be brothers." Now Owens is set to face Zayn in a last man standing match on SmackDown this week. After surgery on his Achilles cut his wrestling career short in 2017, Sonjay Dutt became a WWE producer in January of 2019. Fightful has reported that he has left WWE, as it was not confirmed that he was fired or that he even has left officially. With WWE releasing Mini, this comes as no surprise. It has been said by Fightful that we're told to keep expecting changes within WWE, including some potentially big ones in the coming days and weeks backstage. When it comes to the Federation Wrestling event that was set to feature the likes of Andrade, it had been previously reported to be cancelled, as now Lucha Blog has informed that PayPal won't give refunds for tickets to the event, saying PayPal has taken my $20.62 back again because the seller argued the Federation Wrestling show is still happening, just postponed. They're never running that show. That money is gone. Hopefully fans that paid can receive their refund, as we'll keep you posted on this story if anything changes. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T spoke of Keith Lee's absence from WWE TV, as he thinks Lee would have been WWE champion before Bobby Lashley. He's definitely a guy that's on my radar because he was a guy that was making a lot of noise. He's a guy that was touted to be, a guy that was going to make some major moves in WWE in that title picture. Lashley picked up the slack pretty much, came in and took the reins and took off, got the rocket on his back and took off straight to the moon. But for a second there, that was a spot Keith Lee was about to step right into, and all of a sudden it was all shut down like that. Right before his push to become one of the biggest WWE superstars, The Rock wanted to leave WWE, as JJ Dillon revealed to JBL and Jerry Briscoe. Rock, he was going to get the push of his life, but he couldn't see at that point how really big that opportunity was going to be for him. He had everything. He was multiracial, he had the size, he had athletic ability, he had everything. And I came up there and he said, "Can I talk to you privately?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You have connections everywhere. I'm asking to help me get out of here and find a place for me to go to." So I listened to him and I said, "There's more to this story than what you're telling me. You need to kind of trust me and open up to me and tell me what's going on in your head. What's really troubling you?" After talking about it a little bit, he reached into his pocket and he had a $10 bill and a couple of singles. And he said, "This is all the money I have to my name. I've been in a situation where everybody talks about this great potential that I have. But for me, I have $12 in my pocket and that's eating away at me." I said, "Well, I'm glad that you opened up to me and told me, because that's something that can be an easy fix." Thankfully, Dillon assisted Rock financially, which allowed him to stay and become the star he is today. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.